Now we're going to look at some complex numbers and what we can do with them. These are two numbers here. 3 minus 4i is one number. We're going to add negative 2 plus 6i, and we end up getting 1 plus 2i. So it's basically combining like parts. You've got the real number parts, the 3 and the negative 2, and the complex, or the imaginary number parts, the I parts. When you subtract, you got to do the same thing, although you do need to watch that you're subtracting. So I got a negative 10 and a 10i, so negative 10 plus 10i. So it's really pretty easy when you're adding and subtracting. Finding the product is not any different, but you do have to remember that I has a value. I squared is equal to negative 1. We will leave i's in our answer, but we're not going to leave I squareds in our answer. When I multiply here, I get 6 plus 8i minus 9i minus 12i squared. Now remember that I squared has a value. It's negative 1. These are like terms, so I can combine these. So I have 6 minus I plus 12. This term turns into just a plain old number, a constant. So this turns into 18 minus I. And that's in standard form because the real number part comes first, the I part comes last. Now for this next one, we have to remember that 4 plus 3i squared means 4 plus 3i times 4 plus 3i. So I have to distribute, and I get 16 plus 12i. I distribute here, and I get another plus 12i. And at the end, I get 9i squared. But remember that I squared has a value. It's negative 1. So I really have 16 minus 9, that's 7, plus 24i. And that's all there is to the multiplying. Now, when we write each quotient in standard form, having an I in the denominator is like having a square root in the denominator. So we need to multiply by what's called the conjugate. The conjugate is not exactly the opposite. This part is opposite. This was a minus, it turns into a plus, but this first number, the real number part, it stays the same. So when we multiply by our conjugate, we get 5 times 5, 5 times I, negative I times 5, and negative I times I. Well, these two pieces go away. I squared is equal to negative 1. So our denominator turns into the number 26. Our numerator, we have 3 times 5 plus 3 times I plus 2i times 5 plus 2i times I. Now remember, I squared has a value of negative 1. So this is really 15 plus a negative 2, or 15 minus 2. 3i plus 10i is 13i. Next, we want to split these up to see if they can simplify any, and it turns out they can. 13 over 26 is 1/2, so I have 1/2 plus 1/2 I. 3 over I, we want to multiply it by its conjugate, which I'm going to say is negative I. So I get negative 3i on the top, and I get negative I squared on the bottom. Negative 3i is negative 3i. I squared is negative 1. So our answer is negative 3i over 1, which is negative 3.